I call Joanne Luxton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Stand and take a call on this small, short but very important bill, as the Honourable Nathan Guy alluded to. And as Minister Hipkins also alluded to, the fact of the matter is that the national government, previous national government, sat on its hands over this particular issue with the bill that they had looked to introduce, but chose to take no further. Well, you know, I'm just reiterating what someone says that makes absolute sense to me. So, we believe that the removal of the expiry provision is of utmost importance in order to allow the industry to continue to operate in an efficient and competitive manner, whilst allowing the government to undertake a review of the issues in the dairy sector and the Dairy Industry Restructuring Act. So we know that back when Fonterra was established, there was concern about it having a dominant market position, and a way to manage that was the Dairy Industry Restructuring Act in 2001 that placed regulatory requirements on Fonterra through Subpart 5 and 5A of Part 2, promoting the efficient operation of dairy markets in New Zealand, and it provides for the monitoring of Fonterra's farmgate milk price. We know now, and looking back, that now there are more independent processors in the South Island, and they're collecting over 20%. The default expiry of the efficiency and contestability was triggered. Once that happens, the Minister must request a report on the state of the competition. Then, once the Minister's received the report and gazetted the response to it, the Governor-General must, by order of the Council, declare that Subpart 5 and all Subpart 5A will cease to apply to the island that's reached the market threshold. The default expiry requirement really creates uncertainty for those involved in the dairy industry, whilst also imposing time and scope restraints on managing the whole decision-making process and the regulatory response to expiry. So under this, we see that sections 147, or under clause 4, sections 147 to 150 will be repealed. Currently, section 148 says that subparts 5 and 5A cease to apply. So what that means is that there will be no obligation from Fonterra to collect milk from new conversions or dairy farms, potentially dairy farms currently, and that does not help provide certainty to the industry. And it's an industry that at times faces real uncertainty through weather conditions, payouts, etc. So by amending this bill and preventing expiry provisions of the Dairy Industry Restructuring Act will mean that the status quo remains. And some of the key provisions that will be maintained are the open entry and exit, whereby Fonterra must accept applications from farmers to become a shareholding farmer, and they must accept a supply of milk from that shareholder. Shareholding farmers can also exit when they choose and move to supply another dairy processor. This is one of the most significant of the Dairy Industry Restructuring Act provisions, and it allows for new processors entering the industry the opportunity to obtain milk supply, and will also incentivise Fonterra to price milk efficiently. The milk price monetary regime, currently the Commerce Commission is required to review Fonterra's farmgate milk price calculation at the end of each dairy season, and it also reviews Fonterra's farmgate milk price manual. And this manual sets out the methodology by which Fonterra calculates its base milk price, which is paid to the farmers for their milk at that season. The intention of this is to provide confidence and transparency in Fonterra's base milk price settings. It also allows for the 20% rule. This allows farmers to sell 20% of their milk of production to other processors each season. So again, this is going to continue to provide certainty to dairy farmers while the government undertakes a full review, or the ministry organises a full review of the industry. And I think that it's really important for our farmers. And where I live, in the electorate of Rangitata, the majority of farming practice there is predominantly dairying, and this will provide real certainty for them.
Mr. Chair, I call